All right, welcome back. Um, let's see. Let's switch back to you. Your cat stole your lap, Vivex. Cats tend to do that, don't they? Don't they? Is your cat a lap cat? Zilby is not a lap cat. He every once in a while will climb over and like I can count on one hand the number of times that he's like crawled into my lap, and then he never stays there for very long. He doesn't like to be on us when we're sitting down. Now, I've learned that if I pick up Zilby and I walk and I don't stop walking, I just sort of like walk in circles, Zilby will like very happily like just sort of lay there and like be super happy to be held. But as soon as you stop, he's like, okay, my ride is done. You've delivered me to a destination. I don't care where it is. I'm gonna go off and explore now and do cat things. All right, let's continue on. So now we're going to be going into this article. We're going to read through it. You're on phone, can't reach keyboard. That is the problem with cats, right? And of course, they're so cute. We don't want to bother them when they're on when they're on our laps. Although I do remember I was watching Rachel and June on YouTube, and Rachel had a cat that like got into her lap or something like that, and she's like, all right, I want to move but I can't, and I have this cat, so therefore I'm going to pet him until he gets bothered and then leaves on his own. Which to me that feels like maybe that's the nicest way of getting the cat to leave, is like just pet them. Hopefully they leave and don't decide to stay there forever. Your cat is a sleepy cat and needs 26 hours of sleep per day. That Zilby's starting to get like that. He wants to play a lot, but he also tends to sleep like we're sort of like the lounge. He's lounging right now. All right, let's go through this. Connecting Docker containers together with networks. Objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to list created Docker networks, create a Docker network, attach a Docker container to a network. Content. We have the Express CRUD application running in a container, but it needs a Postgres database to run. We could install Postgres manually in a container, but this violates the one purpose per container rule of thumb. When possible, we want to keep our technologies separated. That means our application code is run in one container and the database in another container. However, if we were to start a Postgres container like we did earlier in this course, we wouldn't have access to it from the application. We need to make sure that they are on the same network. By default, each Docker container gets... I don't think that this needs to be like that. Each Docker container gets launched without a network. Is that true, or is it on its own network? I want to say it's its own network. You create your own container that installs the tools you need for devs and bridges and what I need from the host. Yeah. It's more of a Podman container than a Docker one. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder, is Podman networking different than Docker networking? It should be like relatively similar, but they should have slightly different ones. Renato, hello. Ciao, Brooks. It's always a pleasure to follow your hard projects. Well, thank you for that. I hopefully they're all helpful. It may all be on a NAT. True. Now it does say that it gets a network, but it doesn't, like, a user-defined network is obviously, I think it's really just its own thing, right? Yeah, I think there's two things we're talking about here, but they're also the same, which makes it not fun. Okay, so I want to change this to be, so by default, each Docker gets launched with a default network. That can only connect to your connect to the internet, essentially. All containers share the same network, but is different from the hosts. And then there's NAT happening. Okay, so they share the same network, but they can't see each other. But if I create another network and I put them on it, then they can. But that's the network address translation working then at that point in time. Exeteo, hello. Sorry about butchering your username, but hi. How are you doing today? Fire up 2 containers and inspect them to see what network they're on. That's a good one. X is fine. Okay, I'll try to remember that. The course is coming along pretty good. We've got over half the videos recorded for them, so we're pretty fine. I can't test right now, but I'm pretty sure that if you get the IPs of both containers, they're in the same subnet. Well, let's find out. So we have Docker network testing. So if I do let's I guess we'll pull up to maybe like Ubuntu ones. That'll be fine. So do Docker run IT. We can remove this. Let's give it a name of test1, and this will be Ubuntu, and we're gonna bin bash that. Bin bash is already on there, right? So we just Ubuntu that. Okay, and then so this will be test2. Also go to Ubuntu. Now if I try to ping test1, of course ping is not found. You managed to move closer to the keyboard without the cat leaving. Oh, that's excellent. Sometimes, like, if the cats like change their positions, that's a perfect time to like do a little change ourselves. Spam, hello. How are you doing today? Okay. Now we can you want to go there? That's an odd place to go, but okay. Let's what is it? Docker inspect. IPA. That should run. No. Um, is it IF? No. So IP is not found as a command in the container. Yeah, so IP in the container, not found. Now I think we can Docker inspect. Test one. Networks, bridge. Okay. Docker inspect test two. Okay, so IP address 172.17.03. So those would indicate they're on the same. They're getting addresses as if they're on the same network. But network address translation is absolutely not allowed here. Now, is there a way for me to open up network ID as opposed to where is network? Okay, let's try that. Okay, so network ID there. Inspect test 2. .7ca 7.7a. Okay, yeah, so it's exact. So it is the same network. So it's the same default bridge network. But they can't connect to each other. I guess the way for us to test this, or how could I test this? How could I is there a server that I can create somewhere else? I should be able to ping. Okay, so we need to install ping. Yeah, no, we're gonna do an apt install. Okay, so apt search, is it just ping? There was oping. P. No, wait. I don't see ping. What is there a group that ping comes in? Oh, netutils. Okay. Yeah, I bet that's it. I bet I can install netutils. No, it's not called NetTools. Net. There we go. Okay, so now, oh, ping is still not found. Okay. Netutils. Not netutils. How about net? Not that either. So Debian install ping apt. Oh, IP utils. Okay. Let's try that. Ninis, are you familiar? Is that a question of like what is ping? Like what it does? Nope, it's not IP utils. Is it IP dash utils? No. So many ads. I should probably like install an ad blocker or something. I keep on saying that and then I don't do it. Which ping? Okay, yeah, but oh, IP utils dash ping. IP utils dash ping. Okay. Okay, so hold on. If I search, so apt search for ping pip to rip grep ping. Oh, I won't have rip grep ping. Oh, that's true. I need to use apt get oh wait, you can't, there's no apt gets, there's no app search. And then I want probably ping oh, but ping space won't help. There's too many things here. This is not helpful. So we were thinking about like IP tools dash ping. Okay, yeah, IP utils dash ping. Did I not? Oh, I did IP dash utils. That's it. And apt cache search and apt search are the equivalent, but the apt cache search will be nicer for command line stuff, for like CLI, like piping into other things. Okay, now I can ping. Oh, just a potential package name. Yeah, that did not have it as a package name. Okay, so if I want to ping, we're on test 1. So if I want to ping test 2, name or service not known. I don't know what you're talking about, X. I clearly spelled it correctly. I mean, see? Just, hold on. There. Zilby can help me out here. Oh, try the IP address? Yeah, we could try the IP address. All right, what IP address were you again? Oh, now I got lost. So I want your IP address. So this one's IP address is 172. So ping 72.17.0.3. Oh yeah, okay. You saw nothing. Yeah. I never watched much of Hogan's Heroes. but I know it was super popular. Zilby was not happy with me using him as a scapegoat there, so he left me. Five-year-old, it's okay. It was on a lot. Like, I know a lot of other people watched it, but I didn't watch much TV when I was growing up. Okay, so we're on the same network. It doesn't know the name, but when I give it an... Okay, so... we need to rewrite our article a bit here. Okay, so by default, each Docker container gets launched on the default network. Default network. Okay. So okay, by default, each Docker container gets launched on the default network. This is good because it allows us to run containers, but then this is not true. Okay, this is good because it allows us to just run containers and they can access the internet, without us having to do anything. Technically, all containers, I guess it's not technically. While all containers are launched on the same network, it isn't easy to Ninice, you're heading out. Well, thanks for stopping by and helping out, and have a great rest of your day. Okay, so while all containers are launched on the same network, it isn't easy to connect to the other containers, since NAT or network, I'll do NAT. Doesn't work. This means that we cannot, we can only connect to other containers via their IP address. Obviously, since each container will get a different IP address, since each container will get a different IP address when they are created, it isn't possible to predict. Now, I know that we can do like network and like assign them IP addresses and all that stuff, but like I don't think that that's a good idea. It isn't possible to predict which address they will get unless we start like hard coding addresses or network information. Network settings. There is a better way. We can create custom networks and assign the Docker containers to them. That works when we do this. So we can access other containers we can connect to via their container name. Much better explanation. I think that's more accurate and probably easier to follow. Okay. Let's reread this. Content. We have the, okay, so blah, blah, blah. We go through this. We need to make sure that they're on, so I guess it's not, we need to make sure that they're on the same network. We need to make sure that they're on the same network and available via the container name. By default, each Docker container gets launched on the default network. This is good because it allows us to run containers and they can access the internet without us having to do anything. While all containers are launched on the same network, it isn't easy to connect to, I guess, like the same default network. It isn't easy to connect to the other containers since NAT, network address translation, doesn't work. I mean, that's sort of like a small lie. This means that we can only connect to other containers via their IP address. Since each container will get a different IP address when they are created, it isn't possible to predict which address they will get unless we start hard coding network settings. There is a better way. We can create custom networks and assign the Docker containers to them. NAT works when we do this, so we can connect to other containers via their container name. Before then, before we create a network, let's take a look at the Docker networks available to us. We can do this with the docker ls command. Okay, then we have that. While the IDs for these networks will be different for you, everything else should be the same. These are the default networks that are available to you. Since these are default, I prefer we prefer to create new networks for each project. That way we can easily predict what containers are running on them and won't run into any surprises later. We can create a new network with the command docker network create name. This will create a bridge network. We don't need to worry about what bridge means at this point in our Docker journey. All we need to know is that it's the default type when we create a new network, and it's what we need to connect multiple containers together. Note, you may hear about Docker Link. That is a very old method of connecting multiple containers together and is no longer recommended. Networking is the way to go. I have still seen Docker Link referenced in some documentation, just every once in a while, especially on like some really old Stack Overflow answers. They're like, how do I access these things? They're like, oh, this answer has been created before. Go reference that. And it's like Docker Link. I'm like, stop. Just stop, please. Okay, so Docker Network Express, okay, we do that thing. The long number that is returned when we create the network is the ID. We can use this when referencing this network, but the name must also be unique and is much easier to use. When we create a container, we can attach it Is that true? Can I create multiple? Oh yeah, okay. It does require it to be unique. Ah. And is much easier to use. When we create a container, we can attach it to the network with the docker run-n option. Of course, this does mean that we'll have to delete and recreate the node container. In this case, we'll create the Postgres container first, since it's a requirement for the Express app. And then the big difference here is that we've added the network to it. Great. Now we'll have a container running a Postgres database on a network. Next up, we need to create the container for the Express app. We'll need to add an environment variable to tell the Express app how to connect to the database. So that's where that environment variable comes in. We're still getting an error, but this error is telling us that the table task doesn't exist. This means it was able to connect to the database and is attempting to use it. We can fix this error by running the npx connects migrate up command in the app container. Renato, were you here before today? I don't think so. Hello, how are you doing today? DNS? Maybe it's DNS as opposed to NAT. Yeah, maybe that's a better, maybe that would be a better way to put it. Since, let's see, what if I just say, because some DNS is working, but like local DNS, it doesn't map names. Okay, so since the default network won't map container names to IP addresses. How about that? That works. Local DNS works when we do this. We can't. Okay, how about that? I think that maybe is better. Okay, so now we do docker exec, we connect into it. Now when we ran the command to get all the tasks, the app successfully connected to the app, connected to the database, and returned all 0 of the tasks. Okay, excellent. So we're looking good there. Which means that I believe we can, we'll be able to do our lesson thing. Which one are we doing? We're doing this one. A long title. Okay, and then we've been building this on top of VS Code. So I want to go find our Express CRUD. Oh, and apparently I have those things in here, so we can just remove those. Hash history, bash history. I don't know why I have that npm. I modified the Docker file at some point in time, but that'll be okay. We'll be redoing that for the videos anyways. Okay, so what are we going to be doing? We're going to create the database one first. So we rerun our database. So Docker run I should reset everything that we have here, just so that way we yeah, let's just reset everything. So Docker stop, Docker ps. Now, the beginning of the article, I think we just go straight into, we need to connect them together. So I don't need to like run that as a demo of like, hey, it's not working. So let's just do we'll do our reset. So Docker, I guess I'll reset all the containers. So Docker remove. Fine, I'll give you the entire name. All right. So that gives us, we have reset networks, we have reset images. So we can now recreate the other ones. Okay, so I think we're good to go. I don't think there's anything else we need to necessarily do for this. So with that being said and done, let's let me put in you over to the left so I can at least follow you. All right, first recording of the day. Took us a little bit while longer to get everything set up, but now we're going. And let's see, I don't think we have anything else, so we'll just start with this. As a note, whenever I do these recordings, I don't check chats, or rather, I don't respond to chats. I sort of like every once in a while, you'll see me like checking them a little bit, especially if I see like the movement out of the corner of my eye. If you say anything that like I can integrate into the lesson, I will. Otherwise, I'll wait until the end and then I'll respond to it. So that being said, let's see if I can do this in one take or if it will take multiple takes. Here we go. So far, we've been able to create our database container and our Express CRUD container. But the problem is that they can't connect to each other. If we attempt to actually use them, or use the Express CRUD container in a way that like it needs the database, it can't find it. So we need to figure out some way to connect them together. Now, by default, when we do create our Docker containers, they all go on to the default Docker network, which is the same. It's the one network that they all go into. So they're all kind of shared and together there. And technically, if we were to figure out what the IP address of the Postgres database was, we could connect into it from the Express CRUD. But if we relaunch the Postgres database into a new container, then it will be a different IP address. And we can't guarantee that it's going to be the same one. Now, there are some commands that we can like maybe force the issue and say, okay, you always get this IP address, but that's a bother. That's too much work. There's a better way. We can actually create our own network. It still has access to the internet. It still can do all the normal things we expect it to do, like expose ports and everything else, but we can now isolate the entire project to one named network, which is really nice because now we can have a network per project and know that, okay, we have a database running in this network. It's the database that this app is expecting to connect to. And we can connect to it by the name of the container as opposed to the IP address, which is really nice. So let's jump into it. Let's actually do this. So first off, we want to take a look at what networks we have available. And we can do that with the docker network ls command. And by default, we actually have some networks available for us right now. We have, I have this test network that I created previously. So ignoring that, we have this bridge network, we have a host network, and we have a none network. Bridge type networks is the one that's being used by default by our system. And then these ones, these two, the test and the Express CRUD network, are created by me previously. So you won't see them on your system. Now, if we look at this output, it's very similar to pretty much everything else that we've seen from Docker. We have our network ID, which is just a hash. We have the name that we have assigned it, what kind of driver it is. We're not going to get into the drivers in this course. Just be aware that the bridge driver is generally speaking what we need. And if you need another type of driver, then you will, at that point, like you'll know enough about Docker to be able to like go into that research and figure it out. And then finally the scope, this is a local scope. Okay, well, how do we create our own network? Well, with the docker network create command. So in this case, we want to create it for that Express CRUD. So we're going to do docker network create. We're going to call this Express CRUD. I'm just going to call us Express CRUD. And there's our hash. So if we do another docker network ls command, we'll now see here's our Express CRUD with the beginning part of the hash here. And there it is, that bridge type network. Great. Now, unfortunately, we can only attach a container to a network when we create the container. I can't attach it to a network after it's been created. So once again, we're going to be creating our Postgres database container and the Express CRUD container from the images. But that's okay because we really want to get this idea that all the containers are ephemeral, that we can delete them at any time and it won't really matter all that much. And it's true in this case, right? We have like the database just has a little bit of test data, it doesn't really matter. And our actual like code is stored on our system and mounted in. So if we delete it, nothing really bad happens, which is perfect. That's exactly what we want. We're going to start with the Postgres container because the Express CRUD relies upon it. So do a docker run. Now we want this like, okay, so daemon mode, We want to give it a name, and we're going to call this Express CRUD, like a PG for the database. We want, I don't need to expose any ports, because any ports that expose are from the container to my host system. And I need this to be ports exposed from container to container, which automatically happens behind the scenes for us. So I don't need to touch that at all. I don't need any volume stuff for this. At that point in time, we do need the environment variable, which I have it written down here, which is that Postgres password. Is equal to, okay, keyboard cat, and just in time, we have our own keyboard cat here. Okay, so we have our Postgres password, keyboard cat. I don't think there's anything else. Oh, we need to give it the network. So -- network, and then it's going to be the name of the network. So in this case, it is Express CRUD. And then just Postgres, and this will launch behind the scenes on its own, which is perfect. Okay. And next up, we're going to recreate the Express CRUD app. So that's going to be Docker run. We want this to be in daemon mode again. I'm going to give it a name of, I'm just going to call it Express CRUD. We need a couple different environment variables here. So we already know that we need the port, where we're going to set it to 3000. I also need to tell it how to connect to the database itself, which I have that listed out here. It is a DB URI. So DB URI equals, and then we give it a Postgres URI. So Postgres / it's going to be the username, the password, so keyboard cat at, and then where it's located. So normally this would be something like whatever dot, Postgres dot, mydomain.com / something. This one, the network address name is going to be Express CRUD PG. So Express CRUD PG. Make sure I spell that correctly. Excellent. And then the name of the database is Postgres. And is there anything else? Oh yeah, so that's our environment variables. I also need to give it the volumes. So kind of volume, the current location to /code. Let's see what else. Oh, ports. We need to open up some ports. So -p 3020 locally to 3000 internally. And then we can't forget to put it on. We need to set that workspace. So workspace /code. Workspace? No, the work dir, like the current directory it's going to go into. We put it in to the network, which is going to be the exact same spelling. So Express CRUD. And then we want to run this on node 20. And with the command overridden to be npm run dev. And that's it. That should do it. We launch you. If we do a Docker PS, we see both of them are up. They didn't crash immediately, which is good. I should now be able to hit this. Let's first hit our health check. So we'll do a curl to health check. I am healthy, excellent. And then the other one, we want to get to our tasks. And this should hit our database. And okay, we get a better error than we did last time, which is it is attempting to select star from tasks, but the relation task, well, the table task doesn't exist in the database. So it's successfully connected to the database. Of course, It's not working. We have to fix that. There is a migration that we can run, and it's under a command that we can exec in to do. So we're just going to run that. We're going to do docker exec. I don't need the -i or t for this. I believe I can just do docker exec. We want to just go into express crud, and then we want to run mpx connects migrate :up. This then runs the migrations, which creates the table. And if we do up arrow a couple times and we recurl to get all the tasks, we now successfully get all 0 of the tasks because there's none in there right now. So that's it. We've successfully created a network. We put 2 containers onto that network, and now the containers can access each other through their container names as the DNS names, which is really, really, really nice. Now you can essentially just develop as you normally would, and everything that you would expect to work just works the way it should. And that's all we have for this lesson, is just getting the network set up, which hopefully this has been helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. All right, done. Oh, and then Overlaid, hello, how are you doing today? You're new? Do I like videos or articles more? When I guess like it's both. It depends. Sometimes I like videos and sometimes I like articles more. And because of that, I decided that when I'm creating these courses, I'm just making both, right? Because that way, whatever learning style you have, if it's like one or the other or both, then it works for you, right? I know that's kind of a cop-out answer, isn't it? Because it's like, yeah, yes. The answer is yes. All right, we have an ad break starting in around 4 minutes. Did I skip the last one? I can't remember more. And also Zilby joined us, so I can put on cat cam again. He was very nice to walk in front of the camera. There's every course now that we've made, at least one time Zilby's tail has made it into the actual course. And I don't even know what he walked over here, checked out like the mouse or something, and then just walked back. That was what he decided to do. So fun times. Okay, persist data with a volume. That's next. You personally prefer articles and written text because it's easier to find what you need scrolling, and with Control F, you switch to videos when the topic is too complex and you need to see someone doing the thing step by step to make sure you don't miss anything. That makes a lot of sense. I totally get that. It's also one of the reasons why I'm trying not to read the articles on the video. I'm just like redoing it essentially from memory. And that way, like, it hits maybe like a slightly different context, or like there's a slightly different way I go about it, and maybe like different words I use. Hopefully, like it helps more, because if I just read the articles, then there probably wouldn't be a difference besides the lack of the Control F. But yeah, totally understand. The Control F can be really powerful. Nanise, hello again. The way you just made that video felt like you don't read a pre-made script. Nope, I do not. I don't like scripts. I am not good with them. And well, okay. I shouldn't say that. I've read scripts before and I've like read things, and I actually can read scripts and like put emotion into them and like keep my eyes up and like looking at the audience while reading it. Like I can do that. I've done it in the past. I really, really dislike making scripts. I'm very bad at it, mostly because I don't have the patience for it. So I don't do it. Like if somebody were to make me a script and then I read from it, I would be perfectly fine. But I don't do it. So my entire style is always been more live and like raw as it were. All right, 1 minute. So advertisements are going to start in about a minute on Twitch. Unfortunately, we do those to keep the pre-rolls off. So sorry about that if you get caught by them. I know that not everybody does. So hopefully you win the lottery this time. By the way, you notice you put rules in the Twitch stream description. You think Twitch provides a special playlist just for that. So whenever someone new wants to say, oh, you're right. I have seen that pop up in Twitch chat before. I should figure out how to do that. Let me write that as a task. And I should put that to the same thing into YouTube too, because I don't think I've done that at all. All right, so put chat rules into respective chats. Okay, perfect. All right. I believe that what we do here is we create a Docker volume, attach a Docker volume to a container. Like that's pretty much what it is. You're on a tablet that is too old for revanced, so you gave me a singular pre-roll worth of money. Well, thank you for that. So thank you so much for that. Adri, hello, how are you doing today? Hello from YouTube. I'm overlaid. Just noticed I don't get Twitch ads if I watch from here. That's very true. You don't get Twitch ads on YouTube. It is really nice that YouTube allows me to not have. Well, do you get pre-roll ads? I don't know about that. Theoretically, you get just like the banner ads, right? That's all you get. I don't trust that whatever ad like that I would get ads if I watched my own channel. Because I think YouTube's too smart about it and tries to be nice to me. You're not used to watch streams in YouTube. Okay. Yeah, it's fairly new for me too. I haven't watched too many streams on YouTube. Usually I also watch them on Twitch, usually from my iPad, which is a different experience than browser. You don't see Twitch chat? Yeah, the Restream chat is broken. Well, okay. It's weird because Restream bot was working not very long ago. Okay, Restream bot breaks constantly. It constantly stops. I haven't figured out a place where I want to put the chat. Like I'm thinking above Zilby, like somewhere up there, which I put chat up there in the past. I'm also wondering if I want to do something else where like cut off cut off the screen or do something else. I'm not sure. I also can run OBS on this computer here and then use it, like override the webcam essentially, which could also be really nice. I don't know. Like there's a bunch of different things that I could potentially do for this. So it's on my list to do, to like create a new overlay for the stream and like figure out where to put the chats and how to put the chats too.